So we're doing question 9b from exercise 5b, which is asking us to sketch the graphs of each of the following relations, stating the maximal domain and range of each. So here we have x equals y squared plus 1. The first thing that I'm going to do is make it so that I have y equals something. I really don't want to deal with x equals. So what I'm going to do is minus 1 from both sides. So I'm going to get x minus 1 equals y squared. Then I'm going to square root both sides. So I'm going to end up with the square root of x minus 1 equals y. Here's the important part. It's going to be plus or minus the square root of x minus 1. Now for just aesthetic reasons, let's just flip this around so I have my y on this side. Just because in my brain, I like to see it this way. Now, what we have to realize now that when we're graphing this, it's almost like we have two graphs. Now, we only have one, but it's almost like we have y equals the square root of x minus 1, because of that's the positive one. And we also have y equals minus the square root of x minus 1. So now when we come to graph it, I'm going to have the square root of x minus 1. Well, we realize that if I was just to draw the square root of x, that's going to look like this. And this minus 1 is shifting it one unit in the positive x direction. So that means it will be here. Let me try again. And this spot right here is going to be 1, 0. And we're also going to have y equals minus the square root of x minus 1, which is simply going to be this, but reflected across my x-axis. So it's going to look like this. Now, I've broken this up, but we must remember that it's actually one graph. So let me come here. It's actually one graph. I've just done this in order to help us in the graphing process. So now we need to figure out what my domain and range will be. So my domain is the set of all the possible x values. And here we're asked for the maximal domain, which is really just saying, we haven't told you, we haven't defined it, but where is x going to make sense for this graph? And we want the maximal region where it's going to make sense. So as you can see here, it's going to make sense from 1 to infinity. So it's going to exist from 1 to infinity. They're all my possible x values. For my range, it's just going to be all real numbers, because if I keep going up and up and up, I'm always going to have y's, because this right here is going up as well. It's ever so slowly going up and up and up. So it's approaching y to infinity, and it's approaching y negative infinity. So it's all real numbers, and my domain is 1 to infinity. Hopefully this was helpful in answering question 9b from exercise 5b.